12 shocking facts about Ivory Coast you never knew. Number 12. The Paris of Africa. Located on the Atlantic coast, Ivory Coast has a strategic position serving as a central hub connecting many countries in the region. This country covers an area of about 124,000 square miles, similar to the size of New Mexico in the United States. The landscape of Ivory Coast is incredibly diverse, from the golden beaches along the coast and lush tropical rainforests in the south to the sunny highlands in the north. Interestingly, despite being close to the equator, Ivory Coast boasts an astonishingly diverse climate. The south has a tropical feel with a long rainy season, while the north is drier, akin to Texas in the summer, with average temperatures ranging from 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. This land is perfect for those who love warm weather year-round. Ivory Coast is not only rich in nature but also has a unique culture. With a population of over 29 million people, the country is a colorful tapestry of more than 60 ethnic groups, each with its own identity. Notably, French is the official language, but there are 78 indigenous languages widely spoken, much like the various local accents found in America. If you notice, the flag of Ivory Coast looks exactly like the Irish flag, but with the colors reversed. An interesting coincidence. Ivory Coast is famous not only for its culture, but also as an economic powerhouse in Africa. It is the largest cocoa producer in the world, supplying over 40% of global cocoa. This means if you're enjoying a delicious chocolate bar, there's a good chance its ingredients come from this land. Number 11. 2 separate capitals. If you think every country has only one capital, Ivory Coast will make you reconsider. This country has 2 capitals, but not in the way the United States has Washington, D.C. and New York with different roles. It's a humorous and paradoxical situation. Yamoussoukro, chosen as the capital in 1983 by President Félix Houphouët-Boigny, resembles a futuristic city that has been abandoned. The wide roads are spacious enough for F1 racing without traffic, yet there are hardly any vehicles. The grand administrative buildings are rarely used, giving the impression of a faulty version of Washington, D.C., where no officials actually work. On the other hand, Abidjan, the largest city and economic center of Ivory Coast, is a completely different world. With a population of over 5 million, this city is home to banks, corporations, embassies, and everything that makes a city the heart of a nation. If Yamoussoukro is a quiet, elegant gentleman, Abidjan is a lively young man who never sits still. The streets are bustling, cars are lined up, markets are lively, and cafes are filled with discussions about soccer, all of which make this city the true soul of Ivory Coast. It seems you might also notice that Yamoussoukro is the official capital, but hardly anyone truly cares. So why does Ivory Coast maintain 2 capitals with such contrasting fates? Are you curious about the real reason behind this decision? If so, comment too, and we'll reveal this surprising story to you right below. Number 10. Women of Ivory Coast and polygamy. Have you ever met women from Ivory Coast? If not, let's learn a bit about them. They have healthy, glowing brown skin, bright eyes full of personality, and radiant smiles that always light up their faces. A noticeable feature is their intricate braids, styled into hundreds of different forms, from neatly arranged small braids to artistic updos resembling vibrant sculptures. They also love colorful wax fabric outfits, showcasing unique patterns and bold colors that express confidence and a daring sense of style. But they are not just beautiful. Women in Ivory Coast also have strong and energetic personalities. They are lively, talkative, and always engage in conversations with confidence and enthusiasm. When you enter the markets, you'll see them boldly negotiating prices, joking with customers, and not shying away from debates. They are the economic backbone of their families, managing businesses, agriculture, and sometimes having a louder voice than men in important family decisions. They also have a strong sense of community, always helping each other in work and sharing life experiences. Yet despite being such amazing women, they must accept a bitter reality: sharing a husband. Yes, polygamy is still quite common in Ivory Coast. In many communities, men can marry multiple wives, and women must accept sharing their husbands with others. Some first wives initially oppose this but eventually accept it as a long-standing tradition. Some even see a husband taking another wife as a sign of wealth and success. What do you think about these women and the custom of polygamy here? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 9. Soccer has helped Ivory Coast find peace. Can you believe that in a country where soccer is so important, it could almost be considered a religion? Yes, that's life in Ivory Coast. Soccer is the most popular sport in the country. Here, every street, cafe, or corner echoes with endless debates about soccer. The national team, nicknamed the Elephants, has twice reached the pinnacle of glory at the Africa Cup of Nations. No one can deny that this country has produced great players, with the legendary Didier Drogba being a symbol not only on the field, but also in politics. Perhaps the most remarkable story about the power of soccer in Ivory Coast is what Drogba did in 2005 when the country was plunged into civil war between the North and the South. Amidst the tense atmosphere, the national team achieved a miracle, qualifying for the 2006 World Cup for the first time in history. But the most significant victory was not on the field, it was in real life. After the match on national television, Drogba called for both sides to cease fire, and a miracle happened. A ceasefire was declared, and just 2 years later, a peace agreement was officially signed. To affirm unity, the national team even requested to hold a match in Bouake, a city that was once the center of the rebel faction. That match was not just about 22 players on the field, it was a whole country reuniting. Number 8. A job more dangerous than action movies. If you think traffic in New York or Los Angeles is a nightmare, try riding in a taxi in Abidjan, where traffic lights are merely suggestions, lanes are a flexible concept, and honking is the main language. This city is famous for its taxis, which are color-coded by area like a secret gating system that only locals understand. Orange taxis, they go everywhere. Green taxis, they operate only in certain districts. Yellow taxis, only for the brave. Taxi drivers here don't need GPS, they are living GPS systems. With just a glance, they know which roads are jammed and which potholes are deep enough to swallow a tire. They don't wear seatbelts because, to them, driving is an art, not a science. A small survey shows that 80% of taxi drivers in Abidjan believe their driving skills are better than those of F1 racers, even though they may have never driven straight for more than 200 meters without slamming on the brakes. Today's story follows Mamadou, a veteran taxi driver with over 20 years of survival on the streets of Abidjan. Mamadou drove a taxi during the Civil War, transporting passengers through smoke-filled streets without raising fares. He once carried a goat, 3 adults, 4 children, and 2 bags of rice in a small car, a feat worthy of the Guinness World Records. In Abidjan, driving a taxi isn't just a job, it's an extreme sport. You need reflexes faster than a soccer player, patience greater than a kindergarten teacher, and nerves of steel like a fighter pilot, Mamadou says, gripping the steering wheel tightly as he weaves between 2 trucks parked illegally in the street. Number 7. The largest church in the world. Do you think St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City is the largest church in the world? If so, your answer is wrong. In fact, this title belongs to the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace in Yamoussoukro, located in Ivory Coast. Covering an area of 323,000 square feet, this structure is even larger than the iconic church in Vatican City. But here's the irony. While St. Peter's can hold over 60,000 people, this church only has 18,000 seats, with 7,000 seated spots and 11,000 standing spots, a relatively small number compared to its massive size. This project was the personal ambition of President Félix Houphouët-Boigny, who decided to make his hometown of Yamoussoukro the religious center of the world. However, the controversial construction cost reached $300 million. When the church was inaugurated in 1990, many people in Ivory Coast still lacked clean water, stable electricity, and basic infrastructure. Yet there stood a lavish building made of marble imported from Italy, stained glass from France, and a colossal dome rivaling European structures. Despite the controversy, it cannot be denied that it remains an architectural masterpiece. Upon entering the church, visitors are immediately overwhelmed by the massive dome, vibrant stained glass windows, and the vast space. Interestingly, even though it can accommodate tens of thousands, actual ceremonies often only attract a few hundred participants, creating the atmosphere of a grand yet empty church, as if it's waiting for a momentous event that has yet to occur. Number 6. Giant landfills. You might not know, but Ivory Coast is currently leading the environmental movement in Africa. Since 2014, the government has banned plastic bags, imposing strict penalties on those who dare to challenge nature and encouraging citizens to use cloth bags and recycled baskets, a step that many developed countries still hesitate to take. Not stopping there, the country has turned waste into a valuable resource. Recycled plastic not only cleans the streets but is also used to build schools, turning each brick of waste into a foundation for the future. And art? Old flip-flops discarded on the street have now become creative portraits, both beautiful and a reminder of a less than glorious past. Speaking of the past, let's go back to August 2006, when Ivory Coast was not a green symbol but rather the world's landfill. The ship Probo Koala, owned by the oil company Trafigura, docked in Abidjan carrying 500 tons of toxic waste from Europe, not for processing, but for illegal dumping. 14 uncontrolled landfills around the city suddenly became ideal destinations for a host of toxic chemicals, causing over 880,000 people to be hospitalized with symptoms like difficulty breathing, skin rashes, and severe diarrhea, while farmland and water sources became heavily contaminated. The incident shocked the world, forcing Trafigura to compensate $198 million to rectify the situation. It sounds humanitarian, but the problem is, many victims never saw even a dime. Number 5. A lively and noisy country. If you're looking for a quiet place to relax, Ivory Coast isn't the destination for you. But if you want to immerse yourself in a world full of sounds, energy, and vibrancy, then this is a sensory paradise. As soon as you step into Abidjan, you'll feel the lively rhythm flowing through every street. Cars are bumper to bumper on crowded avenues, and the sound of horns plays like an endless traffic symphony. In the markets, each stall has a speaker blasting Afro beats or coupe de cal, loud enough to wake up an entire city. Vendors shout greetings while customers engage in enthusiastic bargaining. But if there's a place where the noise peaks, it's in the stadiums and cafes on match days. When the national team plays, the whole country turns into a massive concert. Each goal scored is a reason for the entire neighborhood to celebrate, with cheers echoing, drums beating, and some even bringing pots and pans to clank in joy. Number 4. The most unique festival in Côte d'Ivoire. In the western mountains of Côte d'Ivoire, the town of Man hosts one of the most mystical festivals in Africa, the Festival des Masques, or Mask Festival. This is not just a cultural event, but also a traditional ritual of the Dan, Guer, and Wi ethnic groups who believe masks are a means to connect with ancestors and nature spirits. When the festival begins, you'll see hundreds of men and women dressed in vibrant costumes wearing intricately carved masks that mimic gods or forest spirits. The highlight of the festival is the mask dance competition, where dancers perform skillful moves, twisting and turning to the beat of booming drums, creating a mysterious and captivating atmosphere. The hand-carved wooden masks adorned with feathers, shells, and colorful fabrics each tell a story, representing strength, protection, or community spirit. If you think Rio de Janeiro is the only place with vibrant masquerade festivals, the Carnaval de Bouac will change your mind. Held in Bouac, the second largest city in Côte d'Ivoire, this festival is considered the grandest masquerade celebration in West Africa. Lasting several days, it features colorful parades, lively music, and non-stop street parties. From early morning, the streets of Bouac come alive with traditional dance groups, marching bands, and lavishly decorated floats, creating a vibrant festival atmosphere. The uniqueness of the Carnaval de Bouac lies in its blend of African culture and European festival style, where traditional costumes pair with colorful masquerade masks, offering a visually stunning feast. Number 3. A tourist paradise. If you love exploring, come to Ivory Coast, where each tourist spot will surprise you in its own way. If you enjoy wild nature, step into Tai National Park, one of the largest pristine rainforests in West Africa and recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Spanning over 1.9 million acres, it is home to over 1,000 rare plant and animal species, including tool-using chimpanzees, one of nature's unique phenomena. Visitors can participate in trekking through the forest, spotting forest elephants, colobus monkeys, or red river hogs, and even camp overnight amidst the wilderness. If you're looking for an ideal beach retreat, head to Grand Bassam, one of the most beautiful coastal cities in Côte d'Ivoire. It won't disappoint you. Grand Bassam is now a popular tourist destination with pristine beaches, clear waters, and old colonial French architecture. Here, visitors can enjoy water sports like surfing, diving, and fishing, or simply relax under the lush palm trees by the beach. Notably, the old town of Grand Bassam has been recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, preserving buildings rich in historical significance. For history and archaeology enthusiasts, northern Côte d'Ivoire is a treasure waiting to be discovered. The city of Kong, once a bustling trade center for caravans crossing the Sahara, still retains ancient mosques with distinctive mud architecture, similar to the famous sites in Mali. Number 2. a culinary paradise. If you love trying new culinary experiences, Côte d'Ivoire is definitely a must-visit destination. One of the iconic dishes of Ivorian cuisine is atieka, made from fermented cassava with a smooth texture similar to North African couscous. This dish is not only a favorite among locals but also a popular street food for tourists. Atieka is often served with crispy fried fish, grilled plantains, or spicy grilled chicken, all blended with the light sour flavor of a special sauce. If you're a fan of hearty stews, don't forget to try kedjanu, a chicken stew cooked in a clay pot with tomatoes, onions, peppers, and local spices. What makes kedjanu special is the slow cooking method without added water, allowing the chicken to become tender and infused with spices, delivering an unforgettable, rich flavor. This dish is usually enjoyed with cornmeal or white rice, creating a perfect combination of richness, sweetness, and spiciness. Ivorian cuisine also shines with its unique soups and sauces, including sauce grain, a smooth sauce made from ground palm nuts, typically served with beef or fresh fish. If you enjoy rich and flavorful dishes, sauce claire, a fish soup with tomatoes and greens, will surely impress you. Number 1. Cost of living in Ivory Coast. If you've ever thought about living in Africa, Ivory Coast could be an attractive option, with a relatively low cost of living compared to the US or Europe. Interestingly, even though the economy is rapidly developing, life here remains affordable, especially for foreigners. Housing is probably the largest expense, but it's still much cheaper than in the US. A one-bedroom apartment in downtown Abidjan, the largest city in Ivory Coast, rents for about $500 to $1,000 per month, while in the suburbs, prices start from $250 to $600 per month. Compared to New York or Los Angeles, where average rents can exceed $3,000 a month, these numbers are quite pleasant. Utilities like electricity, water, and internet are also not too expensive. An average bill for electricity, water, and waste for an apartment is around $50 to $100 per month, depending on usage. High-speed internet costs about $30 to $50 per month, significantly cheaper than in the United States. Food is also a highlight of living costs in Ivory Coast. If you enjoy shopping at local markets, fresh fruits and vegetables are extremely affordable. A home-cooked meal only costs about $2 to $5 per person. If you prefer dining out, a meal at a casual restaurant costs around $3 to $7, while fine dining can go up to $20 to $50 for a luxurious dinner. Compared to the United States, where a meal out can cost at least $15 to $25, these prices are indeed easy on the wallet. Transportation won't break the bank either. A city bus ticket costs about 50 cents, while taxis average $3 to $10 per ride, depending on the distance. If you rent a car, you might spend around $300 to $600 per month, and gas here is cheaper than in the United States, averaging about $4 per gallon compared to the $3.50 to $5 per gallon range in the United States. In total, a month in Ivory Coast typically costs between $900 to $2,000 compared to the United States, where an average person spends at least $3,500 to $5,000 per month. Living in Ivory Coast can help you save significantly while still enjoying a full life. With these costs, do you think Ivory Coast could be a place for you to visit or settle down? If yes, comment 1. If not, comment 0. Thank you for your feedback. We've just explored the beautiful land of Ivory Coast together. Thank you for watching today's travel documentary to the end. We hope you'll continue to join us on our next journey beyond the borders.